it out. A couple of, all of the peers have put this together from the SCI&U group that I work with. And it's a podcast called SCI Connects. So it's going to be having all sorts of different guests on it during different times. There's good discussion about all things related to disability. And it's really easy to listen to a podcast if you haven't done that already. You just go to anybody that carries podcasts, Spotify or Apple or Amazon or anyways, you guys probably know more about that than I do even. And you just type in SCI Connects, the podcast, and it'll come up. And it's blue and green and white graphic. And Barry, if you guys are open to it, we'll also send an email with the information and the link in there. So someday maybe one of you could be a guest on there talking about mindfulness or something maybe. But it's really about people and for our people. About our people, for our people. Hello, everybody, as you're coming in, welcome. And we're just joining in, so you're right on time. Good, so today we're gonna, speaking now about mindfulness, and I will go over the podcasting at the end of our session together again in a small snippet of time. But what I wanted to remind us about today regarding mindfulness is it's always a pause. It's always a pause to relax, ideally. And sometimes when we pause, especially if we've got a lot on the go and we're very busy people and we don't generally pause, there may be the occasion that when you do pause, everything that needed to come up all the time you were too busy to listen to it might come up. And that's really the beauty and also the paradox of mindfulness, because although we're emptying our mind, often what happens when we stop our activity in the outside world, we notice how busy our mind actually is, and it actually gets a chance even to be a bit more noisy because somebody might be listening. Especially the body. So there's these three interfaces: the body, the mind, and kind of the awareness. And all three of them need attention throughout the day, and particularly, obviously, for us, our bodies. So our sensory body gives us really good feedback. And as we do mindfulness and we train our mind to be more attentive and less attached and more neutral and more capable of observing things from a witness standpoint, we build up resilience and also neuroplasticity. So we want to do that in a number of different ways to keep it, to keep it interesting for the mind. So today I've got a couple of things behind me, and we're going to start off today by just looking at one of those things, any number of things that are kind of in the peripheral of your vision. And I'll be timing us, and we'll do this for a couple minutes. So just keeping a steady, calm, and present gaze on anything, and it could be something in your room, but I don't want you to turn your cameras off just yet. And so find something that you can look at comfortably, so it's right within your eyes range, and you don't have to look up or down. And we will begin for 2 minutes, just observing that object. Giving your full attention to the object. Remembering that you can breathe and notice your breath while you're observing the object. Keeping that relaxed, kind, curious attention. And there's halfway there, so just staying with it and being very present with all of the things that are happening as you observe with your single pointed awareness the object. Reminding the mind that there's nothing to do, but just relax and be present with the object that you're observing. And then coming to rest at the end of 2 minutes and relaxing your gaze and just shrugging your shoulders up and bringing them back and letting your arms relax down. And then again, shrugging up. You could tuck the chin slightly if that feels comfortable. Press the upper arm bones back and relax down. And then one last time, coordinate your breath. So inhale, exhale back, relax, and down. Good. And then we'll gather yourself in with your attention. We'll talk about that piece at the end of our mindfulness. So I want to just go right into your mindfulness now and let yourself move into the space that you occupy behind your eyes. And the first thing that I invite you to observe is just a different place that you're at now. If it feels different than being outside your eyes in the room around you, in the world around you. So now we're in the space we occupy behind our eyes. And just taking a moment to really absorb that difference. And then allowing yourself to take 3 full, rich breaths. So using your own time on this. Inhaling, filling the chest and the heart and the belly. And exhaling, relaxing the navel back to spine. The body deeper. And when you're finishing off exhaling the last of your 3 breaths, allow yourself to let the breath come back to your normal rhythm and observe that normal rhythm, just like you were a musician wanting to step in on a particular beat. And so you're really observing the inhale rhythm and the exhale release, and the inhale expand and the exhale release. And you could add the idea that the inhale is bringing calm energy in, and the exhale is relaxing and releasing out. That beautiful rhythm, which is uniquely yours, is quite fascinating in that in and of itself, that there's no 2 people that breathe in the same rate. or in the same way. And as you are noticing the rhythm of the breath, I'm going to invite you to bring in your sensory awareness and let yourself, not only with the observation of the breath as your anchor, add in the awareness of the sounds that you notice around you. And at first, if it's very quiet where you are, there may not be many, but you'll really stretch your aperture of hearing, of auditory awareness way out past the room now. And if you do have sounds close by, your job is to bypass them and go outward, external to the building that you're in or the room that you're in, and see if you can stretch your brain and your awareness to listen to the faraway sounds. Isn't that lovely? And then you can bring your aperture of auditory awareness to the room that you're in now and see if you can distinguish between the two types of sounds, or maybe more. And then allowing the last piece of this sensory modality around your auditory awareness to rest inside your body. So, can you hear yourself breathing, for instance, or possibly even tummy's gurgling or whatever might be going on? And ideally, and if so, that you are hearing your breath, see if you can stretch now and shape the breath a little bit by letting the exhale stretch out a little bit longer, like you're pulling toffee. You really stretch that exhale out so there's nothing left. And maybe not straining for sure, but if there's a little bit of a gap at the end of the exhale before you take your next inhale, that could be a possibility. And all the while, keeping that kind, loving attention in observation of your breath, letting it be the anchor. Good. And then if you have had an opportunity to stretch the exhale out a bit, you can relax that now and just be observant as you relax the focal point of your auditory awareness on the breath. And let all senses become relevant in your awareness. And whatever one comes to you, perhaps it's taste first. Often when we're thinking or feeling our breath, we'll notice our taste in your mouth. And then you may move to the perhaps site where you may have already made the recognition that behind your closed eyes there's actually flickers of light, and perhaps for some images, just noticing your inner eye. And we've talked about sound, and we've also briefly mentioned touch or sensation. But I'm encouraging you to think about your sensation now in the inside of your body. What do you notice? Sometimes it may be pleasant or unpleasant. And what I invite you to do now is to build a little bit more neuroplasticity and find an area where it's quite pleasant. So usually at the outer corners of our eyes, at the gentle smile or the gentle grin that we may have on the corners of our mouth. And just really notice the sensory body there from the inside out. Softening the eyes, relaxing the jaw and the flesh on the inside of your cheeks. And with this tactile sensory awareness, giving yourself that full opportunity to feel inside the pleasant part, and then move to a place where perhaps it's not as comfortable or pleasant to feel. And just notice it. You can name it. Oh, this feels lumpy, or this feels congested, or this feels tight. And you might see or give it a color or a texture, prickly, or and then go back to the place that feels really comfortable and really pleasant. And go into the feeling state there. Feeling that beautiful soft tissue. Even though we're feeling from the inside, you can really feel it on the corners of the eyes, this beautiful gentleness of that area, the spread of the tissue toward the forehead. And then go back to your area that's calling some attention in a different way, and give it some attention again. And this time, perhaps, especially if it's an area of tightness or congestion, just using your breath to breathe into that area. Using the exhale to melt tension or congestion from the inside out, wringing it out like a sponge. And then go back to your pleasant area. And we'll rest there for a moment with that gentle grin on the outer corners of your lips. And using that same position that we took at the very, very beginning of our session today, where we're mindful of something that we're staring at. I don't want you to open your eyes, but I want you to imagine that you're doing this with your mind and your thoughts now. So rather than it being an object that you looked at outside of the external room, in the room, we're now allowing the subject of our observation to be the mind itself. And with that gentle, grandparently-like approach, just attending to what you observe, not needing to fix it or name it necessarily, or even claim it, just letting it float by as it moves like all thoughts do. If you're a grandparent, perhaps you would be observing this little toddler, just like our thoughts are jumping from one state to the next, 1 minute calm, the next minute kind of, acting out or whatever it might be. I'm just really giving that grandparently role of attending. And relaxing that inner eye that's observing thoughts as they move. And now just be the observer. Just allow yourself to enjoy the last moments of our practice together today. Just observing whatever arises, like the rise and the fall of the waves. Relaxing into the silent space and spaciousness. Without changing anything, as we begin to transition back toward the external world, just allow yourself to bring your awareness back to your breath. Breathe into your heart for a few breaths and just feel the smile that you noticed earlier on the corners of your lips and your eyes. Just feel that in your heart. And then remembering where you are in the room. And without opening your eyes, remembering the object that you observed at the very beginning of the session. Just perhaps picturing it in your mind's eye. And picturing the whole room in your mind's eye. And feeling the shape of your body. Remembering the shape of your body. And taking the last breath or two to breathe into your whole body. And releasing, exhaling. And breathing in calm. And exhaling into ease as you gently come back into the room. So as you're gently coming back, that was a very good, I think, seems like it was a good deep practice. That's my sense of it, my feeling. And any comments are always welcome. And also I wanted to ask you and maybe remind you, if you do want to have Barry send you stuff around. Thanks, Adrienne. If you want Barry to send you information about the podcast, you can always email back on that email that you get for the mindfulness. So if you're interested, please let us know. Any questions or? Bye, Celia. Is it Nicole? Hi, Nicole. Nice to see you.
Today was really good. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Good. Well, if you haven't been to the SCI&U YouTube channel, it's SCI&U Study, and all of these mindfulness sessions are there, so you can always listen to them on your own time. And thank you for joining, and I look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
You married too.
Good.
Have a good Thanksgiving.
Oh, is it right? Thank you. Thank you. Bye, Terry.
Everyone.
Thank you, Mary-Jo.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you, Mary-Jo.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Barry. Bye-bye.